Okay, hello everyone. Happy Friday. We have our last session of the week, which is a leg day. We're going to focus today on our lower body strength and conditioning. And I shouldn't phrase it like that because today we have a conditioning sandwich. Good morning. Let's do this thing. So we're going to start off with a warm-up as we do best. We will not be using any equipment in our warm-up, just our body. Although you will want to put on your shoes right away because we are going to start you off with a nice power-focused conditioning couple movements, 3 to be exact. And then we will go into our strength, and then we have a nice sweaty focused circuit that we're going to finish with. So for equipment, again, starting body weight, but you will need some things. I have my 8-pound dumbbells, my loop bands, and specifically this towel that I'm going to use sliding it on the floor. So if you have sliders, fuzzy socks, a towel, something along those lines, grab it, bring it out. We're going to need it. But again, body weight coming to the end of our mat to start. We're going to start off with 3 of these walkouts where we go down to the bottom, stopping in that nice strong plank position, lifting our hips up to the ceiling, getting that stretch in the back of the legs, standing tall, reaching those arms up, and then coming back down and doing this one 2 more times. Let's get this party started with 3 of these. So we're shooting up onto the toes. Again, trying to keep the legs straight, but knees slightly bent. We don't want those completely locked out legs. Both arms go up, and then we go back down. 1 more of those to make it go. Let's get it going on. These walkouts, which feel quite nice, opening up again the back of the legs. We're going to keep the feet in that same hip width stance for the next one. Arms are down by our sides. Once again, we want those soft knees. We're going to hinge the hips back, so push those hips back behind us. Arms are going to swing above our heads, so we end up in this position here. And then we'll stand, arms back down by our sides. That's 1. We're doing 10 of these overhead hinges total. So same idea here with that opening feeling in the back of the legs. Arms are straight the entire time, and 10 reps total. Again, focusing on sticking the butt out, pushing the hips back more than anything else, and then pulling them forward back to our starting position. 10 of those. Let's do it. Okay, so we'll feel maybe a little bit of work happening in the back of the hips, in the glutes. Let me get my list out for our next few. So we'll get 10 of those going overhead. Very nice. So as you approach the end of your 10, we're going to widen up our feet slightly into our squat stance. So a little right up in our hips. We want a slight angle out in our toes. We're going to be sitting down into a squat, sending our arms out in front of us. And then we're going to stand. One leg comes up, circling around back into that squat. And then we go and we do the other one. Ooh, a little bit of balance. So we come up and around, back into the squat. That's 2. Doing 10 of these total. So we're trying to lift the knee up, circle it out and around, back into that stance position. So we'll go through 10 of these total, 5 on each side, and lifting in, out and around, a little coordination. Good morning, brain. Good morning, body. We'll get through 10 of these. There we go. Yes, you got to think about these ones a little bit. And we're going to have to think about this a little bit more. That circling of the leg. So as we sit down into this squat, we'll come up, lifting the leg to the side, bringing it in and around, back into that squat. So we come up. This one requires a little bit more balance, maybe a little bit more connection with that coordination. Woo! So up and in, and then back into our squat. So once again, we're doing 10 of these total, 5 of those rotations on each side. Let's do it. There you go. Yeah, let's see, we all a little bit more wobbly, a little bit more shaky, maybe a little slower because we have to think about this a little bit more. We'll get through 10, wobbling through 10, and then we are headed down onto the floor. So as you finish up those ones, you can join me down here on your back. Woohoo! Laying on down into this position here. So we're going to get ourselves into a dead bugging position. Arms are straight, right out of the shoulders. Knees are bent. Kneecaps sitting right on top of the hips. Opposite arm, opposite leg. So find those two if you need a little wiggle. And then we're gonna lower right arm, left leg, bringing them back up to the center. And then we'll switch that. Left arm, right leg, back up to the center. Trying to avoid all movement in those two limbs that are staying still. So we don't want everything moving. This one is called dead bug, but we want to connect again with that coordination, trying to keep those two limbs as still as possible. Once you find this, we're going to count out 10 reps total, alternating sides. So one side, and then we'll switch and do the other side. And we know anytime we're doing this, we're trying to keep that back tight, fixed to the floor so that there's no space under there. And you're going to feel your core, your abs, maybe a little leftover again from yesterday, what we went through, but this one's all about the activation of your core. So we should feel that going on in there. Okay, so when we finish up that one, we're gonna relax our feet down onto the floor into this bridging position. And we should be able to feel the heels with a reach, but not without that reach. Lower back is once again going to be pushed into the floor, and we're gonna drive the hips all the way up to the very top of this bridge. So you have to be at the top, feeling your butt work to keep you up here. And then we're gonna lift up one leg, lower the hips, touching the back, not the butt. Exhale, drive back up. And then we'll put this foot down, lifting our other leg, lowering the hips, back touches. Exhale, drive up. That's 2. We're doing 10 reps total. So we're going for that stability in the hips. We don't want the hips falling or tilting, which is definitely a little easier said than done on this one. If you feel like that's something that you cannot control, or maybe you feel like you can't quite get to the top, you can try walking your feet a little closer together, as that tends to help with that stability. So we'll go through 10 of these total, 5 on each side. Oh, and we're feeling the glutes. That is the goal here, getting that nice activation, feeling on our glutes, on our butt cheeks. So we'll go through 10. And then we are standing back up. We have one more movement that we're going to go through. That's gonna get us ready for this first part. So final one, you can come on over to one side of your mat. We're gonna go through our double side lunges. So we're stepping out to one side, sending the hips back behind us, shifting over back to our first side, and then pushing ourselves up to the top. We'll go through 10 of these total. Nice opening stretch in the inner thighs. Get a little work on the legs, on the hips. We'll get through 10 of these. And then we are going to get started on this first part, which I already gave you a little teaser about. All right, so as we finish up these lunges, you can grab some water, check it out, get yourselves ready mentally for this first part, which is, again, all focused on our conditioning, but not necessarily us in our normal focus for our conditioning, which is, again, getting our heart rate up. What we're trying to go for here is being powerful. Power is going to be the focus for these first 3 exercises. So you will have one opportunity of 2 minutes for each of these 3 movements that we're going to start with. First one that we're going to do, our squat jump. Yes, start this off with some squat jumps. So you'll be doing 3 reps at a time. You'll have 2 minutes to do as many rounds of this as you can. But again, the focus here is power. So what we're going to do, you don't have to join me yet. I want you to watch me first off. We're going to sit down into a squat. Arms can come down with us. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, and then I rest. Okay, you can even take a couple steps. Deep breaths. We're not going to go right into the next set of those 3, because if I did that, I wouldn't be very powerful. I wouldn't be very strong. And then when I feel ready, I'm going to go back down, and then I go 1, 2, 3, and then I rest. So that's going to be you for 2 minutes. If you do not jump, you're not going to jump. You're going to come up onto the toes, up on the toes, up on the toes, rather than leaving the floor. So, are you ready? As ready as you're ever going to be? All right, so let me set our timer here. 2 minutes, starting in 3, 2, 1, let's go. No starting beat, because it's just a countdown clock, but you have started. So let's get this going. So again, arms down as we jump up. We want to reach those arms above my head. Exhaling, Get through those 3, and then we rest a little bit, okay? Because again, we want to take this time, give our legs, everything, our breathing, a moment to just reset before we go into our next 3 power squat jumps. All right, let's get it. So I'll probably get through anywhere between 5 to maybe 7 sets of these 3 squat jumps. But again, don't worry about counting your sets or anything like that. What I want you to focus on is seeing how high, how powerful you can be in these squat jumps. And you'll feel it, okay? We're thinking about speed. We're trying to land soft and get our body as straight as possible at the top. Let's do it. So we're halfway through. We have 1 minute left. And again, we're only going to be doing this one time. So this last minute is the last opportunity that you're going to have for the squat jumps, at least. All right? So we'll try to make these last few sets that we go through a little bit more strong, intense. Let's do it. All right, so trying to breathe with your jumps as well as between our sets. 30 seconds left. Let's get it. I don't want to say this is the easiest one of the 3, but it might be. You're always going to be your own judge, but we'll see how you feel in the next 2. 15 seconds left. So whatever set you're on right now, let's make this your last set. We'll get through those 3, and then we will rest because this timer is done in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, so I put 1 minute on our clock, and that's going to be our rest period before we go into this next one, which is the same focus. The focus is on being explosive, fast, powerful, okay? Again, taking a little bit of rest between each round of this. We're working with our high knees. So we're going to set up with our off arm and leg. Once again, you're resting. You still have about 35 seconds on the clock. So you can just watch me here. We're trying to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then counting out 3 of those high knees on each side, 6 total. So again, we'll be working with the arms and the legs. Okay, everything's working together. So if you need to maybe do your first couple sets a little bit slower, that's completely fine. We're starting in about 10 seconds. Again, if you're low impact, same thing. We're going to try to just be very fast, powerful without actually leaving the floor. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay, let's do it. So onto these high knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then again, we rest. We can take a few steps, do a little lap. More than anything, just take a couple of those deep breaths into your belly. Try to kind of calm yourself down. Reset, and then go again. Okay, there you go. Let's do it. So same idea here. Whew, now this is starting to catch up to me. Anytime we're being explosive and powerful, if you can be faster, if you can be more intentional, that's where you're going to get the benefit out of this. If you're just doing this at a comfortable rate, comfortable level, you know, something you're used to, then you're not really going to get that powerful benefit that we're trying to get here. All right, there you go. Be a sip of water. So we have 60 seconds left. You are halfway through our 2-minute round for these high knees. So we'll just try to work through these ones. Same thing, taking as much rest as we need. There we go. Because again, we want to be powerful, so we're not rushing between these rounds of our 6 high knees. Okay. So we'll try to crank up these last 2. Now that your body knows what's going on, we've kind of taught it that coordination. It remembers. You've already done it about 3 or 4 times. Let's make these last 2 sets, maybe 1 set, a little bit stronger. Okay, we've got 25 seconds left. Let's do it. Very nice. Okay, so breathing. Maybe we have 1 more round. Maybe we're taking this last bit of time to rest. 10 seconds on this clock. Keeping in mind, we will have again that full minute to rest after this. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and time. Okay, so once again, I have a 60-second clock running where we're just gonna rest. If you want to grab some water, now is your time to shine. We're also going to talk about the last one, which is going to be a power lunge. So once again, we're going to count 3 of these reps on each side. And this one's a single leg exercise. So we're definitely not going to get as many sets in as we did on those first 2. That's completely fine. Opposite arm and leg are going to load up. So we have bent arm, bent leg, opposites. Then we're going to 1, 2, 3, rest, reset. Again, take a breath before you do that next leg. And then we'll set up. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And we're going to start that in about 10 seconds, okay? So again, take a couple more deep breaths. Wait for the timer, okay? Because we're going to have 2 full minutes to do this. Starting in 3, 2, 1, and let's go, okay? So setting up an opposite arm and leg, same idea. If you don't jump, we're just going to be trying to get from the bottom to the top as quick as possible, okay? Every point and everything's happening for a reason. We're not just flailing around and jumping, okay? I want you powerful, trying to get from the top to the bottom quicker, every rep and every set. And again, we're resting between each leg and between each round. So do your right leg, left leg, whatever one it is, and then take a couple deep breaths. And then we'll set up on that other leg, do it as strong as we can, and then again, we'll take a few deep breaths. That's going to allow you to be stronger, be more powerful, be more in control, which is what we're going for here. 60 seconds. Means you're halfway through this. And again, 1 round, okay? So that's the nice part about these ones, is that we do not have to do them again, like this. We might have some variations of this stuff later on. We'll see. Okay, so just under 45 seconds to get it in. Awesome. You're using that exhale because we know that breath's your power. That's going to help you jump up faster, stronger. 30 seconds left. Let's get, okay, so 1 more round on each leg. That's about all we have time for, with even that little bit of rest in between. So we'll finish up strong here, getting in this last set. Yes, 10 seconds left. Okay, last one. 3, 1, and time. Very nice work. Okay, we have a 60-second rest period right now, which we are probably feeling like we need. Not only is our heart rate up, but also our legs are starting to burn from those lunges. So we're going to take a minute right now to just rest, breathe, a little bit of water, as well as get ourselves set up for our first strength superset, which again, we want to be more on a normal level of our heart rate, not when we're feeling all hot and heavy, like our heart's beating like crazy, which is probably how you're feeling right now, which is why we have this rest period here. As we allow our heart rate to come down, I'm going to start to talk about these first 2 movements that we're going to do. The very first one is going to be a single leg deadlift. So I'm going to be using my dumbbells here, standing on one leg, working with this single deadlift, coming up to the top, driving my knee up to 90 degrees, all this leg. So we're tapping into the balance. As I say that, I slightly fall over. Working with 12 of these on each side. So that is our lovely morning alarm. That is our 1-minute timer is up. So we're going to start here, get a couple more deep. First round. So for those of us who do not have dumbbells, we probably have bands. So you're going to loop that band under opposite foot. And again, we work with 12. With that slight knee drive, as we don't have as much space to come all the way up. 12 on each side. So we'll start here. This is going to be the first of 2 leg exercises that we're going to do. So we're going to talk about the second one once we're finished our first round of these single leg deadlifts. So again, we want to focus on hinging the hips, pushing the hips back behind us, not allowing those weights to come much below the knee. As soon as we hit that knee point, just below, we'll come drive the hips back forward, standing up to the top. And again, we want to make sure we're not touching the foot down. So trying to either bring it all the way up or at least slightly forward so that we get that balance work at the top. So we're doing these on each side. Single leg deadlifts. Oh, yes. There we go. So hamstrings, back of the legs, and of course, the glutes are going to be working on this one, on these ones. All right, so this is our first exercise. I'll let you guys get her done, and then you're going to join me down on the floor for the second one. So take your sweet time. Do not rush that one. And then we're going to be pairing this one with a hip bridge variation. You're going to want to grab onto your loop bands. I'm going to be using 2 of them. So I'm going to take this stronger black one that you will struggle to see on my dark pants, and I'm going to put it on the top, right above my knees like this. If you only have one single band, then you're going to put the band up here like this one. If you have more than one, this is the medium strength. I'm going to take this guy and put it under my knees, just below, like this. So I have this double banded action going on here. All these same things are going to apply if you don't have a band, but again, if you have one, put it on, because it's going to help us a lot as we go through this one. Setting up in that same bridge position that we did in the warm-up, we want to start with squishing our low back into the floor. Hands are going to be down beside us. We're going to drive the hips all the way up while pushing the knees out to the sides. When we get to the top, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we come back down, touching our back, not our butt. And then exhale, drive up. And on this next rep, I'm going to do 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I go down. And then I exhale. We're starting to feel the glutes. 1, 2, 3 now. Okay? Then we go back down. And then we come up. And then I do 2, 2. And then we go down. And then on the final rep, the 5th rep, we do 1. So we're doing a descending set with our abduction, starting at 5 on the first, 4 on the second, and so on all the way down to 1. Once you're finished, you should feel this a lot. Okay, the sides, the backs of your hips. We're going to unband, which is a little easier to do down on the floor since you're down here, since it's kind of hard to stand up in those bands. And then we shall stand up. And we're going to go through this again 3 more rounds with little to no rest in between. So as soon as I'm finished those abductions, I might need to just take a quick memento to think about how much my glutes are burning, because they should be feeling a lot after that superset. And if they're not, they will in the next 3 rounds, because we're going to make it 4 total. So we'll come back to this first one, single leg deadlifts, and try to focus on driving that knee up to the top. We're using dumbbells. Okay, we're working through 12 reps on each side. Let's get it. There we go. Okay, and keep in mind, I'm using 2 dumbbells because my little 8-pound dumbbells are not the heaviest things in the world, so I want to add all that I can to this. But if you have, again, a raiment of dumbbells, or maybe you have just a couple heavier dumbbells, you can always use 1 instead of 2. And we can hold that side that we're standing on so that we have room to drive our knee up at the top, like this. Okay, so we'll work through again 12 and 12. There you go. Both sides. Okay, and then we're again going to superset this one with that bridging abduction. Awesome. All right, so we'll get through this set, and we'll do both sides. And then we up back down on the floor for our second set of that hip bridge with the abduction. So again, we're going to band up. 1, we have 2 bands on here, and then we'll get back in that hip bridging position. Now, again, we should be able to feel the heels with a reach. So we want to make sure that they're not too far away, okay, that'd be too far, and also that they're not too close. I shouldn't be able to feel them right away. I want to have that little side bend, and there they are. We also want to make sure that our hips or our feet are hip width apart, and then our knees are also hip width apart, that they're never closer. When we go through that abduction, I know on the side here it's kind of hard to see, my knees have a standard staying this far apart. You can watch yourself and see that happening. And then as I abduct, as I open, I want to go wider than that, wider, never allowing my knees to come closer, because that's where we're going to get that banded work.
is by keeping the knees at that standard position and going wider than for our abductions. Because if I'm coming in and going out, then I lose tension on my hips, and I'm not going to feel this as much as if I keep them that hip width apart position. So once again, we're coming up, we're doing 5, down, up, we do 4, yes, up, we do 3, you got it, and then we take these bands off. Although you want to slingshot them across the room, keep them close because we need them for 2 more rounds. So once again, we're going to peel ourselves off the floor, woohoo, and we are going to do this again. So back to that first one, our single leg deadlifts, very nice. All right, so we'll go through again that next round here, these guys, 12 and 12. So for those of us who, again, are struggling to feel these deadlifts, because sometimes just little tweaks make a huge difference, and sometimes we just naturally sort of open up our hips. That is going to not make you not feel your glute at all on that standing leg. So if we close that hip, or if we turn that foot towards the floor, both those things achieve the same goal, which is to align our hips with each other. That's going to allow us to use our standing glute, that butt cheek over there, the one that I keep talking about, that you should be feeling that burn in. Whereas if we open up, we're going to be involving a lot of other stuff, like our lower back, which we do not want. Front of the leg, which is not the goal. We want that hamstring, the glute. So we'll close that and try to go through our set, keeping that there the whole time. That's not something that all of us need to think about, but some of us might. And it's going to go a long way, make a huge difference on the way you're feeling at this, in the best way possible, although it might not feel the best when you're doing it. But you know, we're working it back there, which is always a nice feeling. Okay, so we'll apply that here, and we also have one more round. Think about that. So we'll get through set 3. On both of these, yes, 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 down on the floor, hip thrust in, or hip bridging the abduction, and then we have one more set to go for this first part. Okay, so we'll get through our final round, set number 4, and you have plenty of time. We have about 3 minutes to get this final set done. And then we'll move on to part 2 of our strength, which is also the last part to our strength, but then again, have that nice spicy conditioning circuit that we're going to finish with. With a little bit of sneaky leg work in there as well. Snuck in the best way. All right. So we'll finish up strong here on this final set, and we'll think about closing the hip, trying to once again focus on pushing the hips back and pulling them forward over anything else. That's going to again allow us to use that hamstring, the back of the leg, the most that we can in this one. Yes, let's do it. Okay, so finishing strong. And again, we have our final set of these hip bridging abductions. Now, again, if you don't have a band, or maybe you're using like sort of a lighter band and you're doing this, this also could apply to someone using 2 bands, just because, again, your butt cheeks, your glutes, they're very lazy muscles. So sometimes we might have to think about them a little more, pause the reps, take a little just under that to finish up. You're probably approaching a set of the bridge. So we'll take our sweet time, because the longer we take, again, making sure we're at the top range before we even think about abducting, opening our knees. If we slow that abduction down, or if we pause it and we hold it out there and we come in, if we do that on all our reps, the 5, okay, and then we go down and we come up, and then we do the same slow paused abductions on the 4, that whole set's going to take you way longer. That means you're in this demanding position on your glutes longer, which means you're going to feel it a lot more than if you just 1, 2, 3, rush through those abductions. So we'll try to think about that as we approach our final set. Again, we have just about 60 seconds to get this done, which is plenty of time. As you do finish up, if you're already done, you can grab some water, rest finally, because there was no rest in between those sets. And we are going to, again, minute to finish up this final set before we start our next part, which is again the last part, last strength superset. Okay, so we're probably feeling a lot in the back of the legs. Again, we'll take this time to drink a little bit of water, walk it out a bit if we need to. And for this next part, that sliding situation is going to come into place. If you need to run on and grab a towel, again, for those of us who maybe can't use this as an option, if you're working on like a carpet floor or a floor that does not slide, you already know that I have an option for you that does not require this towel as a slider, but we are going to set up for that. So I'm going to fold my mat in half so I have a little bit more space to slide, tongue twister there. Starting off with our slider reverse lunges. So what we're going to do is work with a reverse lunge. Slider or towel or a fuzzy sock or actual furniture slider is going to be under our foot. And we're going to go back into a lunge and then slide that foot forward and slightly in front of our standing leg. Now we are going to weight this. That being said, this one is way harder than it looks. So some of us might want to start maybe a little lighter, maybe body weight, feel it out. We will have 4 rounds of this total. And we are going to pair this with another movement. So I'm going to take both of my 8-pound dumbbells to make this nice heavy 16-pounder. And we will start our first set in sliding into the lunge, pulling ourselves forward with this front leg. That's 1. We're doing 15 reps total. We got the nice high 15 rep range. So that's why we might want to be a little bit more conservative with the weight, because we don't want to accidentally end up sort of pushing ourselves with that back leg. The whole goal of being on the slider is so we slide ourselves forward and we rely solely upon that standing leg to pull ourselves up. So let's do this. We're going to work through 15 on this leg. And if you don't have that slider, that back lunge, the same focus of pulling ourselves up that lunge. So we'll get this going on. 15. Don't underestimate these ones. Again, they are much more challenging than they look than our normal step back lunges, where they should be. Because again, we're trying to focus on that front leg, back of the hip, pulling ourselves up. So we'll do this on both sides, keeping in mind we can always bend instead of dumbbell. We need to do that opposite foot. Same idea as our deadlifts, and we can go through our set of 15 and 15. Okay, awesome. Very nice. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll do this on both sides. Take time. I mean, this one does take time, simply just to get through all those reps on both those legs, because we have to do both sides. And again, we are going to have a exercise that we shall pair this one with, which is going to be our straight leg deadlift. So as we finish up those lunges, we're going to separate our weights or grab a set of weights if you have them, holding them in front of us. Feet are hip width apart with their parallel situation. So we don't want any angle on our toes. We want them parallel, soft knees. We're going to hinge the hips back just like we did in the single, but we're double. Feeling that stretch, and then we contract our glutes, squeeze our butt, and pull ourselves up to the top. Weights are going to sit in front of our legs. We're essentially dragging them down and dragging them up the legs, keeping them as close as possible. We don't want them out here. We want them in here. 15 is your number to be on these ones as well. You got that nice high rep range. 15 reps total with that intentional contraction at the bottom. So we get down here. We don't want to just stand up. We want to think about our butt squeezing, tightening, and then shortening us up to the top. The more you can focus on that, the more that you're going to get out of this one. So we're going 15 total. For those of us who do not have dumbbells, which again is ideal for this one, we can hold a band sideways, and that's again going to give us a little bit of tension in our upper body and our core as we go through our 15. Again, that glute squeeze is extremely important. So we'll try to really focus on that. You got lots of reps to figure that out, get that going on. All right, so this is us Woo! Once again, we are going to not take any rest. We're going to limit the rest, going right into our next set. Okay, so back to that first one, our slider reverse lunges. And I already warned you, we're doing 4 rounds. So we just did our first one, and I already doubled my dumbbells with that single dumbbell. And by holding the weight on one side, I'm doing this for a reason. Okay, I have this heavier weight rather than holding one in each hand. This is core right here, because if I wasn't using my core, I'd be flopped over like this. So by having more weight on one side rather than even weight on both sides, I'm getting a little bit of sneaky core work in here, which is why we preferably want that heavy single dumbbell or stacked doubles, whatever you need to do. All right, let's get it going here. We got lots of work to get through. We again have one more final part that is going to conclude today's session, which is a nice sweaty 12-minute conditioning circuit. So we have lots of time to get through these two. That being said, we want to hustle when we're transitioning between them, limiting our rest, but we will again take our time in the movements themselves, not rushing to get through them. Okay, so let's do this. 15. There we go. And for some of us, we might be good with body weight or with a light weight in our hand. Because again, and also depending on your floor, some floors slide a little easier, and that will influence how challenging this feels. So just make sure that you can get 15 reps on both sides and make that happen however you need to. Whether that's lightening it up or starting with your more challenging leg. Okay. Awesome. So we get through our second set. And yeah, we might feel a little bit of elevation in the heart rate as well, just because of the high reps that we're doing on both of these. So again, we're back to our straight leg deadlifts, focusing on pushing the hips back, sticking your butt out behind you, and then pulling your hips forward, back up to the top. We don't want to just bend our body down. We'll end up rounding our back like this. We want to set our shoulder blades together, pull the shoulders, and then hinge the hips, push the hips back, just like we practice in the warm-up, in those single leg deadlifts. We do it all the time. And it is very important that we're thinking about that, so again, we can get that work and we avoid putting any sort of additional stress and strain on our lower back. Here, we want the legs, the glutes. Okay, awesome. So yeah, let's get it. We have 2 more sets to get through, okay? If you're gonna take any rest, do it after your deadlifts, straight leg deadlifts. Okay, you can grab a very quick sip of water. Maybe take a second there to just think about how much you're feeling your backside, because we should be feeling it a lot on these 2. And then we will get going on our third of 4 sets of these ones. So on our lunges, we have talked about this before, and I'll remind you again. We want to also focus on driving the hips back slightly. Upper body can come forward slightly, and that's to help keep our knee in this position, which is going to be a more useful position for us to get that hip working and also strain on the knee. If I sit down and I have my body upright and my knee drives forward like this, I mean it looks, you can already see this, that it's going to put a lot more strain on the knee. And we're going to feel a lot of work in the front of the thigh, in the quad, rather than in the backside, in the glute. So by pushing the hips back and allowing our upper body to come forward slightly, you'll feel the difference. And you're also going to prevent any sort of strain and stress on your knee or knees, especially if you already have some pre-existing stuff going on in there. This is going to apply even extra to you that you think about this, keeping your shin more in that upright vertical position, rather than pushing the knee forward like this. And again, this is something that is natural. Naturally, our knees will drive forward, but when we're under a load, we have this weight in our hands and we're doing these lunges, especially with the slider, because it's a lot harder that way. You might have to just be conscious of this and kind of check yourself, look down, make sure you're in that position. Okay, and you have 1 more set
to think about that in after this one, of course. Then we are moving on to our last part. And it's a 12-minute one, so it's moderately short. Not so sweet. We'll see. All right, so we'll take the next about 4 minutes to finish this up. So again, we'll get those deadlifts in. We grab a quick sip of water because we should be feeling the legs, the hamstrings, and the glutes. And then we have our final round of these two. Surprisingly challenging in this superset. Let's do it. Okay. Very nice. Awesome. So we'll work through these ones. There we are. Thinking about the glutes, squeezing you up, very nice. Okay, as we finish up those deadlifts, we are going to try with everything that we have left inside us and our legs to go right into our final set. Okay, so again, maybe a couple of deep breaths, and then we will try to get going right into that last round of our lunges. And again, limiting this rest is part of the deal. It's part of the process. We're trying to not rest as long. Sometimes we specify for you to actually stop and do nothing between your sets. But now it's not one of those times. So we'll try to get going right onto our final set. Okay, again, checking that positioning of your knee, trying to see if that helps you feel a little bit more work in the backside. Might make things feel a bit more challenging. But again, less quad, more glute. Let's see if we can get that going on here. On all of these 15 reps. Awesome. Okay. So we'll get these evenly done on both sides. 15. We have about 2 minutes left for you to finish up, which is like pretty much just enough time for you to do these lunges that you probably already started and your straight leg deadlifts, which are up next. There you go. So again, we're not rushing through this. Oh, but we are breathing through this because we really need to at this point. And remember that exhale we want to do on the hardest part. And exhale is going to help us come out of the most challenging point of our exercise, which in this case is the bottom. So we'll exhale up to the top. And that just might help you get through this final set. All right. There you go. Burn buds. Very nice. So we'll finish up this last set of our strict leg deadlifts. We're going to take us to the finish line of our strength. So once again, we want to make sure that we're hinging the hips back and forward. Now, something else that we should be thinking about here is maintaining that neutral spine, that straight spine, which takes practice. So the first thing starts with our neck. We want to tuck our chin in slightly. As we hinge back, we should be following that hinge. So I'm looking down at the floor, and then I stand, and I'm looking up in front of me. You don't have to shift your gaze. You can just find a point on the floor there. But we want to make sure that we're not having this position go on here. So we'll try to get that going on our last set. The last chance. On these ones, 15, and then as you finish up, if you're already done, we'll just grab some water. We have about 1 minute left for you to do your thing on these hip hinges, on these straight leg deadlifts. Okay, lovely. So as we do finish up, moving on to the last part, that 12-minute conditioning circuit that we're going to go through. So what we need for this, some weights, some space. I've set my mat back down. We are done with the slider. We just have that one nice burn-in exercise with it. We are going to be using a dumbbell, so I'll keep my 2 8-pounders close.
Although for this first one, we just need one dumbbell, which I'm going to start to talk about here after I quickly set our timer. So you can grab a little bit of water, shake it out, bring your dumbbells close, set your mat back down, and there we are. We are going to get you started on these movements. So I'm setting our timer right now for a interval time frame of 40 seconds on and 20 seconds off. We have 4 exercises that we are going to complete for 3 sets total. So we're going to start off talking about this first one, which is a new one. We've done some variations of this, including those brutal overhead lunges that we did last time, but this is a bit of a combo move. So I'm going to use one dumbbell. Again, if you don't have a dumbbell, you can always just have your arms in front of you. You don't necessarily need to use the weight. You can also put the weight down if you find whatever weight you have is too heavy. So once again, you can watch me here to start. We're going to get ourselves into a squat stance. So I'm going to turn sideways because we don't have room to do this one forward. This weight's going to come between the legs. I'm essentially going to swing it between the legs, and then I'm going to step back into a lunge and end up in this overhead position, back into the swing, other leg, and this is us for 40 seconds. So again, if you don't have a dumbbell or if your dumbbell's a bit too heavy, you can just use your arms. We're trying to stay low, so we never actually stand up. Oh, it's a leg burner. Okay, so I'm going to get you guys going on the timer so you don't waste any of this energy. And we're going to get through this. Again, 3 sets total. We'll have 3 more movements to explain. We're going to talk about on that 20 seconds of rest between. So getting ready to start in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Unfortunately, that did not beep, but it did start, and it will beep on the next one. So again, swinging down into the lunge, other leg into the lunge. We're stepping backwards, trying to get that overhead position, and the whole time the legs are staying bent. So we're never standing up, only in 20 seconds when we start to get that rest. Okay, let's keep it working here. Again, breathing, exhaling, inhaling the whole time. There it is. All right, 5 seconds, 3, 1, woo. Okay, there's the beat. So that was our, we can put the weight down as well as put it aside, because for the next one, all we need is space. We're going to be working with our infamous split jumps, going lateral down the length of our mat, and then we come all the way back to where we started. And you don't have to move in these ones, you can always stay in place. And for those of us who do not jump, we're going forward and backward. Doing a little salsa dance. 30 seconds, let's go. Split jumping our way through. So we want to involve the arms, opposite arm and leg. We can go straight or we can go bent, but we want them moving, not just staying by our sides. 20 seconds. Let's go. This one always gets the job done so quickly, gets my heart rate up. Yes. 10 seconds left. There you go. Breathing. 3, 2, 1. Okay, next one. We're going to pick those weights back up, 1 in each hand. So we want 2 now. We're in our narrow position. So hip width apart with the straight feet. We want to hinge back into a deadlift where we have more bend in the knees. And then we stand and we go 1, 2 calf raises. This is us for the next 40 seconds. So we're trying to tap into a bit of balance. Again, maintaining that upright position with the shin. And then we come forward into a double calf raise at the top. So hips back, bending the knees, hips above the knees. We don't want to be down here. Yes. And then we'll for 15 more seconds. Oh, yeah. So this one's a little bit slower. And we're tapping into a bit more control than anything. We have that sneaky at the top. And time. Rest. Okay, last one we're going to do, putting the dumbbells down. We don't need them. We're going to do a lateral side shuffle. So we want to get in an athletic position. Hips back, knees slightly bent, arms in front of us. We're going to shuffle to the side and shuffle to the side. I don't have much room. If you have more, then use that room. But if you don't, you can just use the space that you have. You can even just do 2 like this. You don't have to go all the way across. Woo! And this is us for 30 more seconds. So arms in front of us, Hips back behind us. Moving through that shuffle, trying to cover ground as we go through those. There we go. 15 seconds left. Awesome. Done. Let's get it. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, that was our first set. We're gonna do all of that. 2 more sets. Turned up this beat. Hopefully it's a little louder on the next one. So we're back to that very first one, that back lunge with the overhead hold. So once again, we're in our squat stance. Weight is in front of us. We want to swing the weight down, catch that overhead position. Staying low the entire time. We're not standing. We're staying in the squat, getting that leg burning action happening. Let's do it. And a little bit of brain work. We have to kind of think about this one a little. 20 seconds left. There you go. I'm feeling these ones. Grab some water. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Time. Way harder than it looks. Okay, we're gonna put the dumbbell down because we have the next one, which is our split jumps. Yes. So we're gonna work through these ones starting in 10 seconds. Don't start yet. Wait for that beep. Okay, a couple deep breaths right now. Set up arms and legs, opposite arm and leg, and let's go. So we're trying to get in more hops in the same amount of space. Rather than covering ground like we do on the side shuffles, we want more of these faster split jumps. Whew, as many as you can. 20 seconds left. There you go. Involve the arms. We're being intentional with the arms. We want them moving just as strong as the legs. There you go. 10 seconds left. Woohoo! Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Time. Very nice. Okay. Deadlift to double calf. So we're going to grab those weights again. Woo! Take a few deep breaths. Set up those feet again in that narrow position. Weights are sitting outside the legs. As we send the hips back behind us, the weight should end up beside the knees. And then we stand and we go 2 times on the calves, trying not to touch the floor between them. So we go up, we come down, but we don't relax, and then we go back up, making sure the heel's down the deadlift, but we're lifting it, woo, which you might have to slow down a little bit for. Take your time with it. 20 seconds left. There you go. Calf raise in action. Awesome. Okay, breathing as you go through this one. It's a little slower. I want to hold our breath and rest. Okay, so we'll put the dumbbells down. Very nice. Very nice. We're going to work with, again, that side shuffle. So if you have space, probably if I was actually doing this, I'd come forward in the room here. Go out of the screen, of course. All right, athletic position, arms in front of us. And let's go. Side shuffle in, here we go. And then I come back all the way. Okay, so we're trying to stay low. Okay, if you're low impact, we're gonna stay just a little bit lighter on the feet and still stay in that forward position, all right? 20 seconds left. Let's do it. Right to left. Moving those feet again, trying to cover ground, taking bigger steps. We get further. Of course, we have space for it. 10 seconds left. There you go. 3, 2, 1. All right, my friends, very nice. We have one more set, and then we are finished. Okay, of course, we have a little stretch we're going to do together. But then you are free to go. So we're going back to this first one. Again, we have only 3 seconds. You better grab that weight. Squat stance. Swing the weight down. Catch it at the top. Let's go. Last set of these ones. Trying to be strong. Pull our belly button into our spine. Okay, and breathe. Using Weights or no weights, we want to stay low, get those arms above the head. Oh yeah, let's do it. 15 seconds left, so I'll try to keep doing what you're doing right now. Do not slow down. We're gonna hold this here. There you go. 5 seconds left. Give me like one more. 3, 2, and time. Very good. All right, split jumps. The one that requires the least thought out of most of these, I think so. Again, opposite arm and leg. You want to move quicker. So if your feet move fast, you want the arms to move fast as well. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Everything is working together, trying to be more powerful, more explosive. That applies if you're high impact, low impact, you're not jumping, that's okay. We're still moving quickly. A little bit quicker than we want to go. We're tapping into that uncomfortable level that I need to stop feeling. We want to achieve that for ourselves, and we have 15 seconds left to get there. And we know that it's completely on ourselves. We have to push ourselves. We have to make our legs move faster, arms move faster. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, time. All right, my friends. Deadlift to double calf. We have these last 2 movements. We'll grab those weights, hold them in our hands, set our position, deep breath, and let's go. Deadlift to calves. Let's do it. So we're trying to have control, not getting as many of these in as we can, for example, the split jumps, but rather we're trying to do these maybe a little slower, but more controlled, taking time, going through those double calves, and feeling the back of the hips and legs work every time you go down and stand up. 15 seconds left. Last chance. Let's go. 10 seconds. Last one. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right, the final one to go. Maybe the funnest one. I don't know. This one also can be very challenging if you are hustling, which is what we want to do on this last set. Again, athletic position, arms in front of us, side shuffles starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So moving through, find that rhythm in your feet. It might take a few times there and back to find it, but once you have it, hold it there. Try to move quicker. Get from A to B, that start to finish point faster. Can you just take a little bit of time on each side? And then go fast. And then go fast. 20 seconds left. Let's do it. Let's do it. Finishing strong, even though we are quite exhausted. If I do say so myself, 10 seconds left. You got this. Pushing yourself right to the finish line here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. All right, my friends. So, what we're going to do now is cool down. I have a 2-minute timer set. All we're going to do is just rest because you probably feel like you really need this right now. Because we did a lot of stuff starting at the very beginning of today's your heart rate up. So now is the final time where we're going to allow it to come down. Take those nice deep breaths into our belly, not into our chest, and move. Take a few laps around your room, around your mat, I said mat, and grab some water. Try to just breathe and all of the above. We're going to go through 2 stretches I want you to do, so much so that I'm going to do them together. We don't want to do these until we're feeling more like we can have a conversation, okay? Which is probably not yet. So again, take that time, take those breaths, grab that water, and then when you're feeling ready, we are going to find ourselves this position here. So this sort of forward lunge position. Now, some of us might be good to go right now. Some of us might need the extra minute, or maybe even longer than I have on this timer in order to feel a bit better, a bit more back down to earth, I should say. So this first stretch we're going to do is calf. It's about the back of the lower leg, your calf muscle back here. From all the jumping we did to those actual calf raises, open these guys up, stretch them out. First thing you want to make sure is that your foot is not on an angle. So we'll turn that foot and face it forward and then we'll lean into that stretch, feeling tension, not pain, okay? So if you're feeling too much stretch, just back off of it. 30 seconds, okay? So you can hold this one here, 30 seconds of this one, and taking deep breaths into it. And then we're going to do the next 30 seconds hamstring focused. So now we'll straighten out the leg. We still want a soft knee. We don't want it locked out. But we want to straighten it out so that we feel that stretch now in the hamstring. And 30 seconds is our 2-minute timer. 30 seconds is going to be for the ham. So we'll hold this one here. So if you're going to do any stretches, this is what I would suggest you do, because again, we did a lot of work for the calves, for the glutes, for the hips. It's going to help you feel a little bit better tomorrow, loosen you up. So 30 seconds, and then we'll switch sides. So if you join me, you can switch. If not, you can just watch your clock. And we'll do this calf on the first leg, on the second leg rather. The calf to start, 30 seconds, and then we have our hamstring for the following 30 seconds. Okay, breathing into this one, getting that opening stretch through the back of the leg. And it feels so nice to do after all that stuff we did. So as you are finishing this one up, there is one more stretch that I would like you to do, and you are, once again, going to be happy to do this one because it's going to feel good after all the stuff we did. And that is you sit in on your butt and opening up your legs so that they are straight. Okay, so we're going to be at different lengths. If you're more flexible, you can have your feet closer. If you are less bendy, you can open up your legs and have them a bit wider. But we want to be able to have them straight, the toes pointing up, sitting upright. If you need to lean back slightly, that's okay. But we're going to try to sit upright and then have our hands in front of us, walk them forward, which is going to give us a nice stretch through the hamstrings as well as through our lower back. We want to allow our back to round and hold this here anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds on this one. So again, we're getting the opening in the back of the legs, low back, and this is going to take you to the finish line of our session today. So thank you guys so much. Once again, I will remind you if there's any other stretches that you want to do for maybe your glutes. Okay, if you want to make yourself a little bit more time right now, now's the perfect opportunity to stretch. And if you're feeling tight back there, this is going to help you feel a little bit looser and open everything up. Okay, so the glutes and anything else, my friends, you want to stretch, throw it in. But you are done with me. Hopefully you feel good now that we're done all that stuff. And have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Okay, bye, you guys. See ya. Happy Friday. And for my replay watchers, if you're still here, if you watch this, hopefully you feel good. And if you do, you can drop a comment and let me know how you feel, good or bad. And I look forward to reading it. Okay, I'll see you guys next week.